Um, a hidden gem, like a hidden gem, I'll call it.
Very colourful, very cosmopolitan. There's so much you can do in Brixton. Once you get there, you'll feel the vibes straight away. It reminds me of Jamaica.
I would say it's got a lot of rich culture. There's a lot of black culture that was raised in these neighborhoods. If you're coming, embrace it, appreciate it. But what we also see as well is like sometimes you get some people that come and it becomes a trend like, yeah, I'm in Brixton. Whereas I remember as a kid, people were ashamed to admit they were from Brixton.
Oh, it's changed drastically. What's happened is what it was, all the culture that was around and really prominent, I'd say about 10 years ago, isn't as prominent now today. When you walk just along Atlantic Road, you can see the difference in a big way just by photos.
Yeah.
It doesn't just take even just the people, but if you want to be specific and a bit technical, look at the people and it says a lot.
100%.
And it's just between black and white, really.
Even down to the bars that have started popping up, the restaurants, that are running the restaurants, it's all just changed.
I hope there will be no more riots, but with everything that's going on now with Black Lives and all of that, you never know, because people are speaking up, and there are people in Brixton that are frustrated with some of the changes happening and what it means for those that have been living here all this time. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes out, but hopefully there will be no violence or anything, but you can't control everyone. Yeah.
I'm Tony Seeley. I'm a social justice arts practitioner. So I've been using participatory kind of arts, drama and theatre for nearly 2.5 decades now, working in communities, designing projects and programs that look at change in some way.
So I'm here to tell you about one of the first projects that's going to launch on the Uprising weekend in April 2021. One of the projects that we're going to launch is called the Mending Room. What's the Mending Room?
So the Mending Room is one of the first projects that has come out of the 81 Acts Exuberant It's come out of the 81 Acts of the Exuberant Defiance stable. And I really wanted to look at how a group of social change makers could come up with ways of looking at the future of Brixton in terms of how it could be for people in the future, because from my point of view, gentrification and regeneration has had a huge impact on Brixton.
People who are native in Brixton, like myself, are now being told to come out unless you can afford the big prices. Now you're seeing posh houses, expensive houses, that is out of a lot of our reach in terms of rental payment.
I really wanted to find a project that could begin to give people a sense of the future and the imaginative ways that we could redesign and sort of reclaim back heritage of Brixton.
Like, we're standing by where one of the biggest record things was.
Yeah.
And there's no longer here, so
It's a bit strange. It's strange to the people that were the foundation.
yeah.
Obviously, right now, the stereotypical yardies, you would say, are still outside the betting shop. I think there's still 1 or 2 places that will never go, but the true evolution of Brixton and the riots and all that isn't here anymore.
So I put a call out into the community.
We need young people, we need adults, and we need older people who've lived the experience of the uprisings. The aim is to mend back Brixton.
Essentially, I was looking for a wide range of people who were coming from those backgrounds, who were interested in working with me for 10 weeks to be really creative and imaginative.
What does that mean? Well, we're going to be creating, mending, fixing, designing. We're going to be exploring social issues through fictional ideas, fictional objects that provoke debate about the social issues that led up to Brixton 1981 uprisings.
And so putting the call out on social media and amongst the networks generated a huge amount of people, about 45 people that were really interested, and we sifted through the 45 and sent out invitation letters to those to attend the open day workshop to about 28 of those people, and out of the 28 I think there was about 18 or 19 responded and came to the workshop. And at the open day workshop we introduced the mending room and told people what it was and what it's trying to do, the aims and objectives. And essentially I got a chance to meet all of those people who were there on that day, and I was really trying to find out what their passions are and skills are.
It's a project that gives hope that change can happen. Yeah, there's so many things that are happening and so many people who are not celebrating the prosperity of society. And the mending rooms, to me, it means bringing about change, about voices being heard, about people being brought to the table and their views being, understood. Because unless you know what's out there, unless you know that you can bring about change, everything stays the same. And when you think about stuff that aren't quite right, that's not fair, like housing, like education, so many things. But when you have the mending room, it brings the voice, amplifies the voice. And so it allows us to bring together and bring about change.
To be involved in a project with Tony Seeley has always been a dream of mine. And the fact that we're working together now, it's quite a privilege. I've lived in Brixton all my life. I'm now 51 years old, and living in Brixton for that amount of time, I've seen a lot of changes. Not always for the better, the changes. Some changes are good. Young people in particular need to be around the table when decisions are being made about them for their future.
It's actually, for me, it was actually a challenging concept because I know Tony through the fact that he's done projects at the community centre. And I know that whenever he does something, his style is very different. So it was the initial interview and hearing what the process was that really intrigued me, because I've never come across anything where that you imagine an object and then you're going to put that into a process of reimagining a place, in this case Brixton. So I actually think it's a great way of people coming together and just doing something different from the normal sitting down and having a meeting that can sometimes not resolve anything.
It means that it's something that can really make an impact for Brixton, and it means that it means something deeply that runs through me from when I was as young as I can remember, when I was like 10, 11, 12, 13, being in Brixton and being involved in the 1981 Brixton uprisings.
My recollection of it is the fact of more from newspapers, TV. I did actually go out on one of the days and see that there was a lot of, I think it's more like the aftermath, and seeing the destruction that was going on and things as well.
It means a lot to me to see myself back then and to be in this position now, 40 years later, to work with other people who have a passion and an interest in about Brixton. That means such a lot to me. I just feel really privileged, and so I feel like to create the project, the Mending Room, it's such a wonderful opportunity to work with like-minded folk who share the same kind of passions that I do about Brixton and how we could collectively come together to reclaim back our radical heritage, which is what Brixton always had.
It highlights is meeting so many people with ideas who also believe they can bring about change and seeing things from different angles. That's been amazing. And it's almost like focusing on Brixton, a place where everybody knows, and thinking about what happens, how things could be, and how things could be if we don't kind of take responsibility for our community, and how things can be if we take responsibility for our community. So it's just been a really wonderful journey, and seeing how people think differently. And it makes me stop and reflect on my thoughts and how I process things as well. So that's been great. I think the challenge has been just being patient, just kind of letting the process happen. Because I'm more like, let's do it now, let's do it now, let's do it now. But by slowing it down, it just gives me more time to think. And when we did actually start the project, it was things moved quickly because we all had ideas that were kind of brewing away. So yeah, I think the challenge is being patient and going along with the process. And yeah, the best thing is just meeting so many like-minded people who strengthen our ideas, strengthen each other, and so you leave being stronger and being more equipped to support the community.
I suppose it's different personalities. There's a few of us who are very different, and just trying to work together in a group of people that particularly we don't all get on with each other, and we don't think the same. So that's been a bit of a challenge.
I'm really satisfied by the way that the group have been working together. Outside of the Saturday sessions, they've been meeting and talking. They got a WhatsApp channel to how they're going to go about, creating their objects and presenting their proposals. And so what I've noticed is that stronger way of them sort of supporting with each other, sharing information, knowledge and skills is a wonderful thing to see develop throughout the process for me. And that's a wonderful outcome. But also the outcome generally is for that they create these objects that they are happy to make and present these objects to the wider audience, which we're calling the jury, so that they can understand and learn about these problems that exist in Brixton, and that the group can share their ideas with the view that we can bring about some change. And the change that I think that one of the changes that we're looking for in terms of the outcome, as you're asking me, is that the outcome would be that the jury, particularly the councillors and other stakeholders in Lambeth, recognise and have identified and see the implications of the problems that the Menders are presenting through their proposals.
Welcome to the Mending Room, where we take you on a provocative journey, where we use the vehicle of design fiction and speculative design to stretch our imaginations with the freedom of creative license. The projects we showcase here today represent the ultimate mend, community-led mending, from the grassroots up. We know the community love their young. We remain preoccupied with wanting our youth to do well and challenging the issues that get in the way of that. We want our future generations to continue our legacy, but do much better. We know Brixton can be a very difficult environment to be raised in for many, an adverse community environment. So today, we present to you our offers. The offer from our team is a dream mending pod, a unique, one-of-a-kind prototype designed for youth and young adults subjected to adverse childhood experiences and who do not have access to the necessary protective factors, specifically a strong, safe, and healthy support network or upbringing. We are calling it the Mending Pod. What's so special about it is that it utilizes the power of artificial intelligence to create the most effective environment specific to the user's needs. It harnesses the extensive legacy of the community and continuously improves by also including the inputs from those who use it as well.
Let's meet Tracy. Tracy's fictionalized, but some of us will, a lot of us will have known a Tracy. She's off to the proof. Here's why. Family income is low, 0-hour contracts. She's a mixed race young lady of Jamaican and English heritage. She's having trouble with her sexual identity. She lives in a drug environment where dad is thinking of supplementing the income with selling drugs, although he'd rather prefer to go into business with his wife. Tracy also has a secret online friend, Joanna, who's 15, who is also having trouble with her sexual identity, and she'd like to meet up so they can discuss it in private. She's going through puberty at 14. She's got a new baby brother. There's disability in the family, and her grades in physics, maths, and geology are slipping. Luckily for Tracy, she had a teacher that sat down with her at the table and discussed some of the issues. So instead of the proof, she got referral and intervention to the pod. The pod will evaluate the risks for Tracy of isolation, depression, grooming, addictions, suicidal ideations, anger, assault, and potentially prison. Our pod is going to recommend these things and a few more. Confidential support with well-being strategies, school intervention to ease Tracy back into her future career plans in biochemistry, monitoring her online safety and creating strategies to avoid her being at risk, a referral to confidential LGBT support groups, and business training and financial startup for parents, so that instead of repeating those things of the past, we can all sit down at the table together to look at a better future.
So we have some specific asks. Recognize our knowledge, skills, experience, and expertise. Secondly, do not waste time to get on. Get on board now. Do not wait until the election time next year to start talking with us. We have noted that there are several development activities taking place in the center of Brixton right now. We want to take advantage of that. Thirdly, understand this is not the end. See this as the beginning of the conversation, the start of something new.
What we'd like everyone who's in this space to think about how they would reimagine Brixton. What would they like to see and what would they like to see done differently? We know Lambeth have ambitions for Brixton. We can help you realise these ambitions of supporting Black, African and Caribbean children.
This is how we reimagine Brixton through our fictional objects. Our first object is a flower, specifically the impala lily, which originates in Africa. The flower is a representation of the youth. When nurtured and cared for properly, it can flourish, becoming the best versions of themselves. And the instructions for use is for it to be able to bloom. The youth and the people who represent them need to be counselled. The golden roots allow long-term stability as long as there's long-term investment of resources. What conditions are set?
So the sun is our second object, and it represents the commitments, motivations, and actions of all stakeholders and community members. It has the ability to change the mental, educational, physical, and financial outcomes of young Black people in Lambeth and of the community as a whole. For best results, all parties are encouraged to think of every young person they are working with and for as if they were your child when deciding and acting upon strategy. This sun can and will nurture the old and welcome the new, residents, generations, investors, and businesses. The instructions are to create a healthy, inclusive, and vibrant environment for the golden roots of the flower to flourish. It must receive the right resources, such as sufficient sufficient sunshine, and we must engage collective actions.
Okay, and for our final item, is represented as a watering can. So water is life and signifies resources. These ideas can aid the creation of a world-class model of an attractive, diverse and thriving community from a troubled past. The instructions for this would be to fill the can, pouring adequate water to nourish the flower. Apply baby bio when necessary to allow the expansion of green spaces to enhance the flower's mental and physical well-being. When all elements are successfully combined, it will create impact and progress. With collective action, the flowers flourish, the youth flourishes. So what's next? Consultation. Ensure the makeup of people around the table is as wonderfully inclusive as the unique makeup of Brixton.
2, collective action. We are here to provide and guide community support services to give more young people, more young Black people in our community, more opportunities.
Resources. One example is raising awareness of the resources available for residents in Lambeth to provide a publicly funded billboard in the centre of Brixton. This would also be used to celebrate our young people's contribution and successes and amplify the opportunities available.
Brixton has that vibrancy. It's African, it's Caribbean. This presentation is good.
Thank you.
And it is from the heart. This is from the heart.
That was absolutely, I'm kind of overwhelmed by your presentations. I think it was absolutely amazing. It's just sends hope, inspiration. I live in Brixton and I've got 2 kids that go to school in Brixton. My son is 10 years old, going on 11. And I'll be honest that I'm worried for my son, for my 10-year-old son, growing up in this area, in the Mitesfield area. You still do see, like, you see a lot of gentrification in the town centre, but then when you get into the little neighbourhoods like Angeltown and Mitesfield and all the little where the estates are and stuff, you see where stuff is like it doesn't match. You know, Brixton is one of those places where you've got the rich and the poor literally side by side next to each other on that same street. You got an estate and then you've got these nice big houses. It's mad. South London is mad.
I just want to say that I think that's what the community needs. We need to have places in which to meet and congregate and get stronger, you know, to have our voices amplified so we can work on the things that we want for ourselves. And we haven't got that.
So I'd like to say a massive thank you to everyone on this team, that both teams, because I started off this and I didn't know anyone from the call, and being able to meet everyone every week. We did warm-ups, we spoke about how our week's going. We worked together to work on projects, just the different ideas that we have. This experience has also given me the opportunity to work with people from all age groups. I mean, we've worked with people with Queen Mary University, so they've also added points as well to our ideas too, and to be able to work with people from all different age rates, I think it's been fantastic, and being able to work with all of you has been great. So thank you.
Absolutely love it. And I love the fact that we're all different ages, we come from different places, but we all feel and think quite similar. That's been amazing. There has been some frustration, obviously. With every group you work with, there has been some frustration, but we've all pulled together as a great team because we've all had so much passion, and that showed today.
I feel honoured to be part of the Mending Room and to meet all these wonderful people that are on the team as well to work with. It's been a great experience, and I really hope the impact that we want to have will be carried on, and that we will be invited to that round table, because we have a lot of diverse experience and energy and ideas. We can bring them to life. We're done talking about them. We want the action. We want to protect our young people and our communities, nurture our heritage, and live in peace and prosperity.
Good night from the Mending Room.